been down for a whole week.
Yeah, let's see what happened on day 6 on the Senate floor. Take a look.
On this vote, the yeas are 52 and the nays are 42. 3/5 of the Senate duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to.
We've heard that before now a few times. A little like Groundhog Day on the Hill, right? The Senate pushed the government shutdown across the 1-week mark last night, lawmakers failing to come to an agreement to fund the government for a 5th time.
Senators voted 52-42 on the GOP funding bill, but of course, as you undoubtedly know, it needs 60 votes to advance. We're joined by Washington correspondent Drew Petrimo with the latest details. Morning, Drew.
Good morning.
If there has been any advancement, it might be coming from President Trump about these Affordable Care Act subsidies.
It was very interesting what we heard from the president yesterday. He said that he's having negotiations with Democrats about extending these subsidies in return for some kind of a plan to reopen the government. Now, of course, Democrats say that's not exactly true, but just the fact that the president is willing to come out and put that on the table as some kind of a deal that could be struck between Democrats and Republicans to get the government reopen is interesting. You also have Marjorie Taylor Greene, a firebrand inside the Republican caucus. She's kind of all over the place on issues at times, but there's no doubt that she, one, has a very large megaphone, and two, has a connection with the base of the Republican Party that is very important. And her coming out and making this tweet saying that these Affordable Care Act subsidies would affect her family personally. She's talking about her children's child health care going way up and many other people in her district. I think that's an important thing. It shows that there is some concern in the Republican Party over the impact of not extending these healthcare subsidies.
She's in Georgia, which could see a huge impact if these premiums skyrocket. Then you have a state like Texas, which consistently leads the nation in uninsured folks. But they're also impacted by this if these premiums go up. You mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene, another conservative firebrand, Chip Roy of Texas. He actually disagrees with Marjorie Taylor Greene. He posted on X, "Republicans must prove that we are for healthcare freedom and against socialized medicine. If we cave on these expensive and outdated subsidies, achieving our goals will be nearly impossible." Drew, we've seen sort of this whiplash, the president saying, I'm willing to negotiate with Democrats. We're talking to Democrats about these subsidies. Democrats saying, well, that's news to us. Hakeem Jeffries went on the Sunday show saying he hadn't spoken to the president in a week. Is there any concern from Republicans when they hear President Trump say something like that, especially because it seems to sort of undercut the message coming from Speaker Johnson, who says, House has done its job. We've got no need to negotiate.
Of course, and you heard it from Chip Roy right there. Many Republicans see these subsidies as continuing government involvement in health care. They want what they call free market solutions to the problems that people face with healthcare prices in the U.S. These are subsidies that were passed during the pandemic that were, kind of a solution that they see as specific to the pandemic. Now the pandemic's over. Many Republicans think these subsidies should last. But you talk about Texas and Georgia. 2 Senate races there that are going to be closely watched next year. The president's own pollster has told him over the summer, after doing some polling on this issue, that this issue alone could cost them majorities in the House, possibly even the Senate. The onslaught of investigations that would bring if Democrats take over the House is a huge concern to the president. It would be a major focus of Democrats if they take over the House and cause them major problems with getting anything passed during the second half of his second term. It's a huge issue for the president. And it's a good issue for Democrats. They always feel good fighting on the healthcare battlefront. Seeing Republicans split over this issue is music to the ears of Democrats. It's why they picked this fight.
So we've talked a lot about healthcare. We should also talk about the economy. And Kevin Hassert talked about this and what's happening, in his opinion, over at the White House.
The Council of Economic Advisors has estimated that it's going to cost us about $15 billion a week in lost GDP. So it is a serious economic harm.
And locally, it'll have an even greater impact, right? So Congressman Glenn Ivey from Maryland had this to say about local impact.
The Trump administration has been pushing people out, no matter what a great job they've been doing, in the thousands as fast as they can out of government service. My constituents, even the ones who've been fired, even the ones who've been furloughed, even the ones who are struggling to make ends meet, at least so far what I've heard from them is that we need to stay in this fight and be in it to win it.
So stay in the fight, but the local economic implications are pretty big around here.
Bigger here than across the country. The thinking, if you talk to economists about shutdowns, is short-term shutdowns, not as big of impact. The longer they go, the bigger the impact is because things start to snowball. Right now, you have people that are furloughed. Many of them may have the savings or can use their credit cards to make up for that. But the longer that stretches and the longer people go without being paid, the more painful that is. They start to cut back even further, can't make bills. That has a cascading effect across the economy. And you just have other things like you talk about air traffic controllers and TSA workers slowing down airports, makes people take longer to travel. Do I really want to travel? Do I really want to buy that airline ticket if I'm going to have to wait a long time? It's going to be a huge hassle. And that kind of a situation just goes throughout government where you have people that are delaying contracts. They can't get their projects approved. We have, WIC benefits for women and children. Right now, they're not directly in threat, but as time goes on, maybe state governments can't make up for the losses and eventually have to make cuts to that. So again, the longer this goes on, and right now we don't have an off-ramp, the longer this goes on, the more harm to the economy.
Quick aside, at Burbank, the airport was shut down last night because there were no air traffic controllers to staff it, and it was slowed at Newark Liberty. So this is really happening.
Already a hugely stressful job. They have had trouble finding air traffic controllers, been a big issue. Not paying them only adds to that problem.
Not to bring down the mood a little bit more, according to a White House memo, month-long shutdown will lead to an additional 43,000 unemployed people. We've heard those threats continue to come from the White House about these mass layoffs. Drew, thank you so much.